Hello and welcome to the video tutorial on using if statements in Google Sheets. So what we have here is we have some sample student data, and one caveat with this data: these are made-up students and made-up scores, and even the analysis I'm going to do is not something I would necessarily recommend for looking at student data. It's just a way to illustrate how you could use if statements. And we're going to be doing two things in this video tutorial. One, we're going to put phrases to associate not necessarily meaningful numerical scores with keywords or phrases so you can quickly make sense of the data and categorize the data. And then we're also going to look at how we can look at multiple measures to flag students as for concern. And once again, this is just an example. It's not necessarily saying use dibbles, use casts in this way, but just a way to illustrate how to use if statements. Over here, we have our rubric for how we're going to categorize our dibbles nonsense words. Over here, we just have some a reference text about how an if statement is formatted that you can refer to or look at throughout the video tutorial if something's not making sense. An if statement has three requirements. The first one is a logical test, and here are some examples of logical tests. So you typically would have some sort of cell, like in this example I said A2, we're actually going to be in the B column, but you can say if this cell equals, if this cell's greater than, if it's greater than or equal to, if it's less than or equal to. You can do a bunch of different types of logical tests, but those are probably the main ones you'd want to use. Then if that logical test is true, what do you want to have happen? So if A2 does in fact equal 1, what do you want the if statement to do? So it could be just say good job, it could say high achieving, whatever the value is, or however you want to flag that data. And then, okay, if that logical test isn't true, what do you want what do you want the if statement to return? And so it could be, needs intervention, whatever the keyword you might need to use, or below grade level, whatever makes sense for the particular student data you're looking at. And an important caveat of this is the logical test is going to be binary, meaning it's going to be true or false. And sometimes you would want more than just high achieving, below grade level. There might be at grade level or something else like that. So to make that work, you're going to have to nest if statements. You're going to have to put an if statement inside the if true or the if false to further split the data. Because any if statement is only going to split the data between yes, it was true, or no, it was false. And so if you need more gradations, you're going to have to nest if statements, which is what we're going to in fact do. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So let's start with Bob. So I'm just going to go equals if. And now we're looking at his dibbles words per minute nonsense words, BOI, for his fourth grade year. I'm sure to click on B2. I could also type B2. It doesn't really matter, whatever your preference is. And I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to say 93. So I'm starting at the very top of the score range down here. And it says if it's greater than 93, we're going to categorize this student as low risk. So I'm going to put comma to move to the value if it's true. You notice this help text right here. It says, okay, we're done with the logical expression. Now we're on value of true. So we're going to say low risk. Now we're going to do comma. And now how do we know if there's some risk or at risk? Well, right now it's a catch-all for any student that's not greater than 93. So we need to do another if statement to further split the data. I like to continue with the same symbol that I started with. So in this case, I started with greater than, so I want to continue with greater than. It's a score range, so it starts at 71. So just to be exact, I'm going to say if B2 is greater than or equal to 71. You could also do less than or equal to 70. I just think it gets more confusing having those middle students at the end. I like to work my way in one direction. I think it's easier to troubleshoot, but it would work if we did it a different way. So if it's greater than or equal to 71, we're going to call them some risk. And then the last category is at risk. And we do not need a test for at risk because every student would be caught by the first two rules, and if they're not caught by the first two rules, they'd have to be at risk. There's no other student that we'd have to worry about. They have to be greater than or equal to 93, or greater than 93, greater than or equal to 71, or at risk. There's no other score range we have to worry about. So I'm going to close this off. We complete our if statements, press enter. Now I have some risk. I'm going to click and drag this down, and now I have all of our categories. Now I pre-wrote these formulas just for the sake of time for the for concern, but currently I have it set up to where it will categorize any student that was in the performance band level 1 for CASP in 3rd grade and at risk at the beginning in 4th grade as considering for intervention. So I click on this formula, you can see how that's written out. The main thing to consider is in the logical operator area or logical test area, I have an and then I have my test. So if C5 equals at risk and D5 equals 1, then put consider intervention. You notice the second student here, they have a score of 1 for CASP, but they're low risk on BOI dibbles, so something weird's going on there with that student. They do not get the consider intervention flag because both the rules are not true. Alternatively, though, if I were to turn this and into an or and drag this up, then this student would be considered for intervention, because or would say if either one of these passes this test that we've written here, then return the true statement. So in this case, consider intervention. So that's a couple ways you can use if statements when looking at student data. I hope that's helpful, and thanks for watching.